Hey everybody, welcome to an all-new bonus round here on GameTrailers.com. I'm Jeff Keighley. This week we are up at PAX in Seattle. We've got an awesome panel of special guests. Of course, we've got Peter, who we know well from 22 Cans, Greg from Double Fine, and Nathan from Cappy Games. So guys, lots to talk about. It is going to be a big fall with these new consoles. Fans are getting to play them for the first time here at PAX, both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. And there's been a lot of news since E3 at Gamescom. They both had press conferences, lots of things to talk about. I think last time we talked to you, Peter, was at E3. Yeah. What's your take on the sentiment around both of these consoles right now?
Well, you know, it's since E3, and it was what an incredible E3 it was. You know, it was like this sort of two frat houses slagging each other off, and you know, I can do better than you, and you can do better than me. And since then, there's been this sort of oh gosh, we've got to actually release these consoles, and they've just announced we know the titles that are coming out. Yep. They're the usual kind of mix of slightly hurried titles, you know, that only had 9 months of development rather than a couple of years development, and some interesting ones. But we're now in that rhythm of getting ready for releasing and just tidying up. And it feels both familiar and unfamiliar. It's familiar because we recognize it from the last console generation. Right. It's unfamiliar because there's so many more things that both these console manufacturers are trying to do. They're trying to, at last, embrace the indie community. My God, that is like, you know, if you tried to predict this 2 years ago, you would never have said they would have embraced the indie community. We would have been considered, you know, heathen. To the unwashed of and
both of them are trying to embrace the community, which is amazing.
They're sort of trying to top each other out.
I know, that's why it's good to be independent developers. So, I mean, Greg, let's talk a bit about that, because obviously Sony made a lot of noise at E3 and beforehand about indie developers. Now Microsoft has come back with the ID at Xbox program. From and Nathan too, from an independent developer perspective, it must be great that you guys are being courted actively by these platforms.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, we want to put our games out as many places as possible, right? Like wherever our fans want to play it, we want it to be there. So the fact that we don't have to find a publisher, and we can, you know, we have the game, we know how to talk to our fans, we know how to get it out there, and now we can just put it on the platform and have it available without having to, you know, have all these workarounds is really nice for sure.
And also to have control of a lot of that as well. Being able to patch and update, being able to do your own kind of community style, even being able to self-publish, whether or not that's, you know, everybody's goal, maybe. But I think having the opportunity, the choice to say, I'm going to go on PS4, I'm going to go on Xbox One, I'm going to go on Steam, I'm going to put it on mobile, it provides us with so many more opportunities and a lot more chance for games that, you know, maybe are smaller market to actually see wider success because there's so many platforms for them.
So what do you think is driving that? Is it this competition between the two of them trying to one-up each other, or is it this, you know, understanding now that, hey, look at the iOS market, look at, you know, Steam, look at all these platforms that are opening up, because, you know, consoles have been so closed for so many years, and now, I mean, Xbox is saying, hey, you know, if you want to sign up to make games, we'll send you 2 free development kits, and, you know, put your game out there.
Really?
I mean,
did they say that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have to sign up.
Yeah, I think you have to qualify.
Have you signed up? Have you signed up already?
Yeah.
You got your free kids?
They're on the way, I think.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's a little web form
one.
you fill out, and I think you have to show that you've made a game. Like that, exactly. But hopefully you qualify, Peter. I don't know how things are between you and Xbox. But what do you think is driving that? Is it like, you know, the publishers or the platform holders? Do you think they really genuinely believe like this is the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think they understand that good software is going to sell the system, and you know, they see services like Steam and the App Store where, like, when you open the doors, then software comes, and they're understanding that they need to kind of put the power in the hands of the developer to see good games come to their platform.
I also think there's like a real terror amongst a lot of the business side about missing the next Minecraft, about missing the next Braid. And I think that kind of like fear mixed with like, I make it sound like I'm like they're like these guys like sitting in a room, but like really they have an opportunity to not miss those titles, because really, like, what do you have to do to allow for this? Well, you just have to kind of, you know, be cool and allow for some self-publishing, give people the freedom to make what they want to make and an ability to put it up, and that's that. All of a sudden, Minecraft could have started on a console if it wasn't so hard to get on consoles.
So you mentioned that you got to be friendly, you got to be open to it. Sony I think has done a great job all year with that, and there's been a lot of sort of controversy around Xbox all year about are they going to embrace independent developers? Are they going to allow for self-publishing? From the development community now, when you guys look at both systems, I mean, are they both as developer friendly as they're trying to present themselves as right now?
I mean, well, here's the thing. I mean, to kind of complete the last question, I think they have to do this.
Right.
If they try and continue to make themselves a closed platform and ignore all the stuff that's going on in the indie community, they're destined to fail, and they're destined to keep their market really small. As far as the systems, the compatibility system, the one arduous thing, I think for me anyway, is that it's very controller-centric. And you've got both of these consoles, they're controller-based gaming platforms, but you've got so many titles coming out on touch, there's a lot more titles coming out on PC and Mac now, and that is the big hurdle, not the tech spec of the machine. They're very... Well, they're not similar, but they're not dissimilar. But those two machines, it's hard to pick which one you would actually go for. It's the thing that you hold in your hand, which is for me the limiting factor.
And it's interesting you mentioned that because, as you said, Greg, you guys want to put your games out across as many platforms as possible. So, from a developer perspective, I mean, how do you think about that? Because it's like what Broken Age is going to feel like on touch, maybe very different than how it is on Xbox One.
For sure. I mean, I think it's something you just have to keep in mind throughout development process. Because like you said, Broken Age is a good example. We're going to be on tablet and we're going to be on PC. And so all the UI and the interaction systems, everything have to kind of be something that works on both or something that we can easily change so that it'll work on both. But I don't know. I still think that there's people that want to sit on their couch and play their game on their big screen and have that kind of experience. So, I mean, I think that there's room for both, but it is an interesting challenge for sure.
I think like the big risk is that people see the size of the tablet and touch market and start thinking about, well, how can I take my game and put it on that platform?
Right.
Like how do I get this idea to go from console to there or to do both? And I think in a lot of cases it's really an act of like dumbing down and an act of sacrifice, and in a lot of ways, and it's something that we talk about a lot in the studio, which is like this game can make sense on a touch platform and maybe can do PC and touch because there is a similar kind of interface there. And then thinking about going from like console to like mobile is a much bigger, wider problem. I think Bastion solved it pretty well. Right. A couple other games have done it, but in general,
But that took them a lot of time. I mean, they took time to get it right. Yeah.
For sure, and I mean, I don't think it's perfect by any means. I think the game is still much better on a controller, but. I think there's like a kind of like, I have a weird fear in the back of my head that people see the size of the market and they're going to try to shoehorn projects into that market. And I think that's a recipe for disaster. But having the different platforms and being able to like say, I've got this great concept for a touch-based game, and for us with Sorcery, we knew that we could bring Sorcery to PC. We knew that you lose a little bit of multi-touch, you don't have to rotate, but those things were not integral to the actual experience. We could still maintain the experience there. But then trying to talk about maybe taking Sorcery to console, well, you can't play that game with a controller. And even though we got a surprisingly huge amount of people asking us to do it, it can't work without sacrificing.
All right, guys, hold that thought. We're going to be right back here on the bonus round.